The United States leads the world in the number of prisoners it holds in solitary confinement. It's estimated that around 80,000 inmates are held in small cells for over 20 hours a day, many for decades at a time. According to the United Nations, the practice is considered a form of torture, but it's still used in the U.S. From New York, Vanessa Bergonzoli has the report.
El confinamiento solitario es un régimen de encarcelamiento.
Solitary confinement is a practice of imprisoning people in solitary cells for about 23 hours per day in a well-lit 6-by-9 feet cell. Shane Bauer and Sarah Sharrod went through solitary confinement in Iran. They will explain the psychological effects of this practice and the implications on inmates' rehabilitation.
¿Qué tan eficaz es esta técnica en la rehabilitación de los presos?
It was definitely the most difficult experience of my life. Felt like I was kind of watching myself deteriorate and watching my kind of humanness slip away. I was feeling more like an animal in a lot of ways. My mind was slowing down, my thoughts were slowing down, and my whole life was kind of geared towards time, towards watching the light move across the cell and seeing time pass that way, trying to get to the end of the day so I could sleep. A lot of the time I was in solitary confinement, despite how much I really hated my interrogators, I was hoping to see them in the mornings because I needed someone to talk to so badly. There were times that I, just would watch ants on the floor, I would have lunch and put some food out so the ants would come and I could watch them just to have something to kind of focus my mind on.
Aunque la Organización de Naciones Unidas advierte que más de 15 días.
Though the United Nations warns that more than 15 days of solitary confinement is an act of torture and causes serious psychological damage, this practice has increased 40% in the U.S. in the last 10 years. It is estimated that approximately 80,000 inmates are currently locked up in a segregated housing unit, with prison sentences going from 5 months to 40 years.
Scientific studies show that in just 2 or 3 days, your brain waves start to shift towards stupor or delirium. So a lot of resistance was just, staying human, staying alive, maintaining hope, and not allowing them to break us. A lot of people in solitary confinement in the U.S. prisons, they say, I deserve to be in prison. I committed a crime, but I don't deserve to be tortured. And it doesn't benefit our society to release me into the streets in a worse mental state than when I came in. So many people come out of solitary confinement with less impulse control, and they have no resources. So that many of them go back to crime, and they end up back in prison, or they end up homeless in the street.
I think any time in solitary is enough time to break a human being.
El confinamiento solitario
Not only is solitary confinement a controversial practice because of the devastating psychological effects and low rates of rehabilitation, but also because of its cost. Keeping an inmate alone in solitary confinement costs about $75,000 per year, doubling the cost of having a single inmate on regular conditions.
La construcción de la más reciente prisión de este tipo le costó al estado de
The Arizona state spent $50,000 in the construction of a prison like this.
Clara Ibarra, José Monsalve, Telesur, Nueva York.